Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel and Aka Design. This is going to be a follow-up Friday, flip through Friday kind of video. I promise not to show you every single piece of paper, but I did want to follow up with the video I did on do art prints have a place in journals? And I think you'll see that I don't know if I made, I guess I did make my, like the volume of space that this stuff is taking is probably less, or certainly a better size and shape for storage than what I had before. So very quickly, I showed you a number of art pieces. Some of them were originals, some were prints. This one is so thick that I have left it intact for the time being. I think when the time comes, I would need to use a scoreboard to avoid, one of those really kind of unattractive folds. So that one is staying intact. This one was the, the Asian type calendar. This is also pretty thick paper. I left this intact for the time being because it kind of annoys me that the focal point, which I believe are these peonies, are the least distinct item in the painting. So I want to do something to these petals. Now this also had the tear in the paper, so I fix that so that the contrast, so that rip is not as visible. So for the time being, I'm leaving this intact, and then I will fold it. All those little block prints, I folded in half. I just love these. They feel so wonderful. And of course it's, handmade paper. This was the folder that they were all being stored in. So I didn't actually do anything with this yet, but let me put that aside so I would. Okay, one of the things you didn't see, let me maybe shove this off to the side a bit, are these images that I cut off, one of those family planning type calendars. I think Costco sells them, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a big calendar for, for parents to keep track of all the kids' activities. I love these little images. Of course, I got mine. Mine was an outdated one that was thrifted. So I just folded all of them so that they could be sewn in. So for instance, sewn in there. So this size is right. And then this just folds because of course the back is blank, and won't those be cute journaling spots? So after this video, of course, my job will be to sort these things and put them in their proper places. This was the bottom of that Asian calendar. Now, there isn't much going on here other than the fact it's 1958, so I did want to save that. Now, you can see how that cracked on the fold. So, maybe that needs... I could try doing something about that with art glitter glue, or I could ignore it. This was that little etching type thing, had a huge mat around it. This is probably ready to use as a journal card. Then you'll remember I had millions of pages of, there's the third one. Millions of pages of, out of a vintage 1960s wallpaper mural book. So I cut around these arches, and isn't that just going to be lovely in some journal? And of course, the pieces that came off around this, I used some of them already. on a master board. And then I have these left to, work in somewhere. But you can see that not a single scrap of this will be wasted. Now, I'm sure the other one will show up. There were 3 of these. Then I had these very beautiful botanical prints, and I can't quite tell. Like, the paper is really good. Luckily, it didn't crack when I folded it. And again, I just cut off the white border. And I also saved these names. Now, both the common name and the Latin name. So, I don't know. I seem to be missing one of them. Like, one of these was different than all the others. So, not sure what's going on there. When I fold my signature pages, I tend to do, depending on what the image is, I tend to fold them either to the inside or to the outside. I could see these with their heavier weight, if I could get the size a little more consistent, being signature covers, so to speak. That would be very cute. This was the first one I folded. Obviously, I could fold it in the other direction. For now, I'm just keeping all of this together. I love these so much. Okay, then there were millions of pieces of the wallpaper samples. So I'm not going to show you these really at all, other than to say, well, let me show you the dog ones because they're kind of cute. After a hard night of playing dog poker, you do have to go to the bar and unwind, and hopefully the winner pays. So in this case, with most of the wallpaper, I folded some inside, some outside, just as a reminder, because if I file a whole bunch of things that look like this, what is it? So it's good to have some of this visible so that you can tell where this goes. This will go with the dog stuff. Oh, I should show you this. This was that sort of that architectural drawing or the rendering of a, the exterior. So I just folded it in such a way. I think with most of these, I tried to either go with the standard 8.5 tall or 11 inches tall and fold it accordingly. Now, if I had a nickel for every time I folded something in a half or folded something somewhere and then had to refold it, like, I would be a rich woman. So as we know, when we're putting together signatures, so pretend these were all nested into each other, we know that over time, as you add more pages, the ones on the inside get pushed to the outside. So again, ask me how I know that it's no fun having to trim these pages after you've smacked your forehead and said, oh no, I did it again, because these pages are sticking out beyond where your cover is. I am working on a swap journal for Carol at Crinkled Path, and because the signatures are so big, 15 pages times 5 signatures, I am not doing my cover till all those pages are decorated and ready to sew in. Simply because may take a while, but I do learn from my mistakes, and I don't want to have to trim everything, particularly if I've gone to the trouble of stitching around it, attaching some kind of a border decoration, whether it's lace or something else. So when I was folding all of these things, let me just, okay, so this widest one here is 5 inches. But if push came to shove, I could easily trim something off there. The rest of them are narrower. narrower, which means that I would not have to, you know, remake this to make it fit. Okay, so basically there are hundreds, well, not quite, but lots and lots of these wallpaper ones. Again, some are folded inside, some are folded outside. I'm just going to pull these apart because it makes it very, love these with the turquoise blossoms. Okay, so I tried to make the most of everything that I had. So some of them are tall and will go in tall skinny. Some are kind of narrow. Some are wider. So chances are, how wide is this? Well, okay, this is 5.5. So this, in theory, could work. Some are narrower yet, because I wanted the page, like as I looked at these things, I wanted the, you know, to kind of make sense of where I was cutting it. So keep the courtyard intact, have a narrower strip off to the side. Now, again, how wide are these? So these are 5.5. So again, if the time comes, or when the time comes that I use them, it would be easy enough to fold 1 inch or 1.5 inches back on either side to make side tucks. I am not trying to presuppose all of the eventualities. So I tried to be, you know, I tried to leave my options open. Then there were some that, you know, would I ever use this? Perhaps not. But maybe it's just, maybe it would be fine this way, or maybe, you know, 5 years from now I realize, oh, I've still got that. Maybe I just use it as collage fodder. But this is going to be easier for me to stick into my filing cabinet drawers and use that way. I mean, know where they are, have them ready to use. Because I'm telling you, this took me a long time. You may remember that I had this lovely, tall thing. So I kept the quote intact. I cut off the artist name, but I mean, this could still be the basis for a pocket, you know, just add something, and it's, I still don't know, like it seems to me, other than that crescent moon there, but again, with enough additional decorating, this could easily become a journal cover. So for now, that's staying like that. This watercolor, I cut in half. Well, not in half, but I cut it, thinking, well, that looks lovely by itself. A vase with all the flowers cut off would have looked kind of goofy, so I just tried to split the difference. Oh, and then all those inspirational posters. Where the quote was fairly short, like it didn't extend the whole width of the poster, I cut them in half, keeping the quote, I cut them down so that the quote could stay intact, because these could easily be signature pages. And again, when something, to me, it doesn't make any sense to bind this like this, unless I intended to cover that up. So these sorts of things I would always use as the center fold. So in this case, this was longer than, mind you, I could trim on either side. I wonder why I didn't trim this one. One of those unsolved mysteries. Center fold, because again, it doesn't make any sense to me. So those I will sort, you know, here's a farm one. This will go with farm stuff. Okay, this was the map. Again, just sort of did a tri-fold, and then I didn't glue the explanation on before I folded it, so I kind of just had to reconstruct how that was going to be. But that would be attached to the back. Oh, here's the third archway. Again, having half of, I mean, if the eyes and the face are there, that would be okay. But what good is this? So again, that's how I decide how to fold things. What's this heavier paper? Oh, these were those two florals. So again, I just cut down the surplus and folded them in half. You know, something like this. I think this, I cut it down to 11. Yeah, so this would go on a tall, skinny. Again, because these posters are all white at the back, I mean, perfect space for journaling. So again, I'm not showing you all of this, other than I did seem to get a wee bit more creative as the time went on, and I, you know, folded in things that could be side tucks or could be cut off if necessary. Now, the Inukshuk. Chopping an Inukshuk down makes no sense. And this, well, obviously something's missing in between here. Maybe that's how it was. So I wanted to save this, and I wanted to keep this intact. So I don't usually do signature pages like that, but it just goes to show that when I'm painted into a corner, I can. Okay, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Okay, and Pinky was a challenge because honestly, unless I chop off her part of her shoe or cut her hat off, she's 12 and almost 12 and a half inches tall. So I still don't know what's going to happen here. I guess it makes more sense to cut her off at the feet. But I did, again, fold it in such a way that this could be sewn in. This could be folded back if she's in a tall skinny, and yet she would be intact. So that is that part. Now, you don't know this. Okay, I showed you these pieces. So this is collage fodder. And then there were parts of those inspirational, and I should say, some of the posters are no longer here simply because I looked at them and I thought, you know what, maybe I'm better off donating some of these to the school. I'm sure they're probably still trying to decorate their walls, you know, put it in the staff room or wherever, not my problem. But then when I was trimming some of these landscapes, you know, there's a lot of sky, a lot of foreground. I thought, I'm going to keep these together momentarily because I will, and I don't know when you're going to see this video, but I will be going on my annual 1-week Canmore or retreat in Canmore at our timeshare. So I, again, saw Caroline on the hillside do one of her torn magazine type journals. And I'm thinking, wouldn't this be great to take along? First of all, select a magazine, take this along, and use these images because you can see blues, greens, mauve, skies. This could look really good together. So that is the plan for those. Now, one thing you didn't see me do, I had set aside At one point I bought quite a lot of these vintage, probably all vintage. No, I don't know if there are any antique music things. I kind of set aside the more beat up ones. I salvaged all the yummy tape. And because I was working on masterboards, I used a bunch of the actual music for my background. But then, of course, there are the lovely, and sometimes not so lovely, covers. So basically what I did was I cut them into smaller pieces. So if there was a face, or Ginger and Fred and Ginger, I tried to save them in such a way that, well, let's just check this. I'm sure this is, it's 9 inches, so it would have to be shortened a bit. But this could be a signature page. These things could be focal points. This I should put with the blue stuff that I just showed you. Anyway, so I just tried to, again, she can be a focal point. I saved these together because of the stripes and the variation there. So I would keep these together to use either on a masterboard or whatever. You'll see in a minute what I did with this kind of not my favorite green. Some of these things were not like, obviously that's a wartime thing. Oh, you know what? Where there were people, I fussy cut the people and backed them onto something so that they can be used. Now, they're not within reach. I had already put those away. I didn't think about showing them to you. But again, you can see how a colorway, these things actually, so this was like this, and I guess, that title there. I might need to keep, okay, I'm going to add this to the other. It looks like might be a bluey color scheme to that. Now this I thought could be a signature, grand piano, people eating, that guy's smoking, that guy's stretching. So now this would probably have to be backed because there's a sharp crease there. Well, let's see. So again, sometimes it's just easier to bite the bullet, make the decision, fold it, and deal with it. So I'll add that to a signature page. I don't really care for these hillbillies and the moonshine and all that, so probably would be using this side. But again, I just am laying sort of setting the stage for the last thing I want to show you. Oh, and I did keep, like, who doesn't need the word ooh la la sometimes? Or, oh, I'm so sorry. Well, I don't know about that. How I hate to get up in the morning. Roses. Oh, there were some beautiful roses that I fussy cut. Kiss me goodnight. Okay, so enough about that. Let me show you what I actually created. Whoopsie, it slipped under my mat. Okay, so there was a there was a cover that was so beautiful. Again, probably not my favorite color, but I love the artwork. So I pieced 2 sections together, used part of the title, used whoever printed it, I guess, at the bottom, had to fill in a gap in between, used another piece of it, and is that not beautiful and ready to go? I guess the only thing that maybe I regret is not having torn this. That's one of the only straight edges here. There was a little teensy bit of a space showing there, so I just filled it in with my black pen. And there was a little white line there, and I filled it in with my black pen. This is something that I love. And you know, when I, in my Heart to Heart series, when I interviewed Diane Hubert, Pretty Pink Cottage, I think at some level, I absorbed her message about keep it simple. I love going overboard occasionally, but I think I tend to keep designs more stripped down and more maybe focusing on placement rather than how many layers can I build up. So I think that's why I gravitate to things like that. Then, of course, there was something left. So I'm not sure how this would have been anymore, but I wasn't about to leave it behind. So, oh, you know what? I was considering it this way, but because I backed it on something fairly hard, obviously it's going to have to be this way, but that's fine. So there was tape. There was somebody had written their name on there. These were the 6 compositions. They had a kind of a flower. Most of them had flowers in the title. I suppose I could also fold this. I won't do that yet. But so I just covered the same. I think these 2 are the same. Yeah, essentially the same size. So I have those. And then I had so many blue, blue music, blue, lovely blue border, this very graphic design, and of course, a blue man. So I made these 3 things. Oh, yeah. It was one of those smack your forehead moments when I realized I glued it on the wrong side of the paper. So now I still have to cover this. Or, you know, use it in some other way so the back is not visible. On the other 2, I obviously glued the images down on the text side of the page. This one maybe feels a bit empty, so when the time comes, you know, maybe I find either a bird or a flower or something that would finish it off, or a person. But I think that is all I wanted to show you. Again, I do have my work cut out for me now, deciding where to put all these things. Some of them are more evident than others. As I said, I do have 2 4-drawer filing cabinets. One is legal side, one is letter size. And I do have many already folded signature pages. I have to get better at sourcing pages from there. Like I do, but I guess I'm just not making journals fast enough. That was the other thing in the Diane interview. She, contrary to what I do and what many of us do, has only 1 project on the go at once. She might be making 2 or possibly 3. She discovered through experience that 3 is her ideal number. So she will work on 2 or maximum of 3 like projects. So in other words, same subject, same color palette, same types of papers required, and same type of ephemera required. Finish all of that up. She can do 2 journals a week when things are going swimmingly, and clean up start a new project, as opposed to some of us who have, I should cough through my answer. I don't even know how many projects I have on the go at the moment. And it is, I don't think that's probably a very, she said that she sticks to 3 maximum, because to have multiple projects on the go at once would drive her crazy. Well, maybe that's what's happened in my case. So I do have a playlist that on my channel that I started, probably 3 years ago, called Get Her Done. And that was my attempt to force myself to get some of those projects done. So maybe it's time to revisit that concept. Maybe that has to be, in fact, to force myself to do that. What I had done at the time was, on scraps of paper, I would write a descriptor about a project that was started but not completed. So maybe it would be, anyway, it doesn't matter what it would be. I would pick, because of course my lack of editing, I would pick out of this, this bowl of scraps of these papers, I would pick one, and then that is the one I had to work on. Now, you, of course, didn't see me do the picking. You saw the results of me picking. So anyway, I need to let that percolate a bit more in my mind and see if that is the strategy I should be easing myself towards. Anyway, I hope I have given you some food for thought. I hope I have piqued your interest enough in watching the Diane Hubert, let's face it, every episode of Heart to Heart, because there has been insight, advice, laughter, and tears in many of them, in all of them. There's been a takeaway of some sort. Plus just the voyeuristic aspect of seeing people, seeing perhaps their space, hearing about how they structure their day and their work life. So anyway, that's my plug for that series, because I do think it is, frankly, one of the best things I have ever undertaken. So anyway, I appreciate you. I value you. I cherish you. I love you guys. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? There's no cost or obligation to do so. It helps me. It encourages me to carry on making videos. And of course, I don't want to grovel. So you can't see me drop to my knees here. I do wish that more of you were commenting. In the previous interview, before I interviewed Diane, I interviewed Gwen the Trash Witch. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that she can end up with 75 comments on a video, and she's only got 770 some subscribers. That is 10%. If we extrapolate those numbers, I think I'm at 1,400 or somewhere there. That means if I were getting 10% comments, I'd have 140 comments. I won't say that it's keeping me up nights, but I'm telling you, it is making me wonder what secret sauce that woman has. Again, is it going to materially change how I do videos, or how my mindset about this whole artistic endeavor? Maybe not, but I would be a fool not to try to understand and adopt successful strategies if they are congruent with my beliefs and my preferences and my aesthetic. So I should probably stop while I'm ahead. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.